Maybe. Okay. Got Alicia here. We should be good to go. Hey everybody, can everybody hear me okay? Can, I guess, maybe type it in the chat if you can.
I can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Hear you. Okay. Okay. I should be good to go. All right, so I guess we're gonna go ahead and get started. I think maybe people will continue to roll in as time goes on. First of all, I'd like to say
thank you to everyone who has attended and is attending, and it means a lot. So hopefully this meeting will be of value to you and you take away something. So, and we have some more people joining as we speak. So. Okay. So welcome to the Road to Financial Freedom Masterclass. So who is this training for? It is for someone who is wanting to build wealth. You may feel as if you are tired of maybe living paycheck to paycheck, and you are wanting to now start budgeting and start actually getting organized with your finances. And it's for someone who wants to level up your mindset and to actually start building wealth. So who is this training not for? It's very important. It's not for someone who is looking to improve their financial situation. That means make more money or be able to, decrease their bills significantly without doing any work. This training is not for that person. It's not for an individual who is not willing to change their financial habits. And anyone that is closed-minded, it is not for that individual as well. And last but not least, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. So I don't want you to think that the information that I'm about to give is just going to be something that you will be able to take away and just get rich very, very fast. It's not. So my promise to you is that I will deliver as much value as I possibly can in the next 60 minutes. I'm going to try to share some real life examples. And hopefully, these examples that I give and the people that I share in this presentation, it will, let you know that it's just not a theory, that you can actually improve your finances the same way that they were able to. And I am dedicated 100% to helping you improve, helping you grow. That's something that I love to do. All right. So in return, I ask that at this time, if you feel led to share that you're attending this training on social media, you can do that. I know some people joined in from LinkedIn. Some people are from Snapchat and other things. So if you would like to share that you're at this training, then you can tag me on any of my social media platforms. And then after that, I ask that you close, all your computers and laptops, any extra laptops that you're not using for this particular presentation, to avoid any distractions, as well as turning off your mobile phone and keeping it on silent so that you can, use this training and actually take something away from it. As well as hopefully you can share some of this information that you're learning today with somebody else. All right, so there's going to be some things that you are going to be learning today, and I just want to share, some of those things. The first thing is you're going to be learning the top 3 mistakes that can keep an individual financially stuck. The next thing is going to be why you are not able to actually build a cushion in your bank account, and some things that you can do instead that will allow you to improve your finances. And I'm going to be sharing my step-by-step framework on how to get financially organized and to start building wealth. Please be sure to stay to the very end. And there's going to be some exciting bonuses and some prizes. So you want to make sure you stay until the very end. Okay, so hello everyone. I am James Huntley. I am 100% debt free, which is super exciting. I have a civil engineering degree. I have been a mentor and a leader for over 10 years. And, you know, the reason that I live, the reason, the things that keep me going is helping others grow and for them to actually reach their goals. I have been able to increase my income by about $15,000 and decrease my expenses by about $6,000 in roughly a year. I have adopted the good to great mentality, meaning, at first I it was okay for me to be average or just good at things, but over time I developed the mentality to be great and to actually excel in everything that I do. And lastly, but the most important is that Christ, family, friends is the reason of why I'm here. Very grateful for the people who have shared, you know, my content, shared this masterclass. I got the information out to people. So those are the people that keep me going, and they're very important to me in my life. So it hasn't always been like this, though. So after I graduated from college, I got about roughly $8,000 of debt. And in college and even before college, I had some bad spending habits, very unorganized. And I felt like my bank account was never growing. I adopted, or I had the good mentality. So I just was okay with being average. That was in school, that was at work, that was with everything. Like I was just okay with doing, being subpar. And I hated reading. I really, really just did not like reading at all. I found it very boring. Just didn't want to take any more information than I had to. And I didn't really like learning from experienced individuals. So today, that's why I am very passionate about helping others grow, about helping others to avoid becoming unorganized and being average. I love to help people become self-disciplined, stress-free. And this is going to be what allows you to become debt-free and allows you to not have financial frustration. All right, so let's talk about the mistakes. I first want to go over the top 3 mistakes that keep you financially stuck. When I say you, it's just the individual. They are not able to move forward in their finances and actually grow their accounts. And so mistake number 1 is that budgeting in your head takes place. And what do I mean by that? Well, everything you do with your money is done in your head. So how much you make is done in your head. So you may get, every time you get paid, you're getting paid $2,000, but you're just, roughly how much you make a month, and all the numbers and all the income that you bring in is just sitting in your head. How much you spend, you calculate it all in your head. So when you go to the grocery store, grab a soda, when you go grocery shopping, when you buy extra furniture, everything is just done in your head. How much you spend is done in your head. And then how much you have left over, um, again, is done in your head, and how much you're saving and investing. All of that is just sitting in your brain, and not written out at all. And so, what happens if you continue making this mistake, right? If you continue to make this mistake, then you begin to forget about small expenses. Like I mentioned before, if you're heading to the grocery store or you're just picking up a soda here and there, you may forget about or forget that you even made that purchase. So then you begin to spend more than you make. So now you have how much you're bringing in your head, and you make a lot of purchases one month, some purchases the next month. Before you know it, you're purchasing more things than you even have the money to purchase. And so then you have no money left over for things like emergencies. You don't have an emergency fund, you're not able to save for that emergency fund, or you just don't have any extra money to put towards your financial goals. So, what happens when you actually stop making this mistake, right? Well, when you stop making this mistake, you normally are able to generate a budget, and you write down and you track all of your income and your expenses. So you write down every time you receive money, whether that's through your paycheck, whether that's through some of your side hustles, whether that's through your investments. You're keeping track of all your income, as well as you're keeping track of your expenses. So when you're buying that soda at the gas station, or just anything that can seem like maybe $1 purchase or $2 purchase, or an Amazon or Apple subscription per month, you're tracking every single thing that you spend. When you stop, budgeting in your head, then you're able to actually plan to spend less than you make, right? You can kind of plan how much you spend. Emergencies are going to come up, and yes, that does take place. But at the same time, you're able to plan for your major expenses like your rent or your mortgage, or just whatever purchases that you're making. And then one big thing is that you are confident now that you're not spending too much money. And so, what I kind of hear from individuals that I work with and recent graduates um, is that, it seems like I spent a lot of money this particular month, or it just seems like I spent maybe too much, or they're wondering whether they're spending too much money on a particular item or in a given month. And so when you write out your expenses, how much money you have and how much you can afford to actually spend on certain things. So your money is planned out and your purchases are planned out. So here we have Jordan. He says, I never looked at my finances like this. And now I can actually know where my money is going. And Jordan is a friend of mine. I worked with him for roughly 2 months. And pretty much when he started, he didn't have a budget. He didn't write down his expenses. He didn't write down a lot of small purchases that he made. And so when we sat down and we started tracking those small expenses, he found that those small expenses really, really added up. And so he now knows that it's very important to track his expenses. And now he knows exactly why he was living paycheck to paycheck and why he didn't have any extra income to play with. And it was because He didn't set any limits on his finances. He didn't have a budget. He didn't have any control. And so now that he has a budget, he's able to control and actually organize his money a lot better. All right, so mistake number 2 is that you have big goals, but you have no plan. No plan. So I hear sometimes, I have a $7,000 emergency fund, or you just want to have a $7,000 emergency fund, or you want to build wealth, or you want to pay off student loans and credit cards. But these are big things. You don't just wake up with $7,000 in your bank account. And if you do, and it is legal, please let me know what you are doing to have, just $7,000 dropped into your account on a day-to-day period, because these are things that you normally would have to plan for. So yeah, you want to have a plan for any big goal that you have. So what happens if you continue making this mistake, just having a big goal and no plan? Well, you lose a lot of time, because you can have that big goal, and kind of like when you set your New Year's resolutions at the beginning of the year, you have these big goals. And if you go 365 days and you never work towards achieving those goals, then you lose that year of time, right? You've just wasted time, and the thought is just still sitting there in your head. Also, you can become discouraged and feel like maybe it's too late. And this can be frustrating as well. You want to pay off those student loans, but they're, and you want to pay them off in a year, 2 years. And so time goes by, and you're still paying those minimum payments. So you can become a little bit discouraged, or you may just not have a sense of direction. So you just have this big goal, and you have no plan, and you have no sense of direction. So it becomes frustrating. So what happens when we stop making this mistake of just having a big goal and not actually kind of setting some plans to achieve it? Well, first of all, you're able to define your goals and the time needed to actually execute those goals. Not only have you determined your goal, right? You want to build a $5,000 emergency fund. Then now you can track your progress. So let's say you save $100 a month. Well, to go towards that fund. Well, now after the first month, if you put $100 in there, now you're not trying to save $5,000. You're trying to save a little less, because you set aside $100. So you've made some progress towards that big goal. And once you have a plan, that plan may not go exactly the way you have kind of mapped out. So you may have to adjust those plans. You may have to adjust those goals. But if you don't define them and determine the time needed to execute them, then you're not even going to know that you may need to adjust that goal. All right, so here is a goals worksheet that I have a lot of the people that I work with go through. And so I'm going back to, I want an emergency fund. Well, yes, you want an emergency fund. We want a lot of things. How much money do you want in that emergency fund? You may say $1,000. Well, when do you want to have that amount of money? And you may say in a year. And then where will the money come from? So these are all things that you have to sit down and go through in order to actually start making progress and start actually defining that goal. And this is something that I have all of the people that I work with actually go through. So in the picture, there are some questions. I'm just going to walk through maybe one of them, one or two of them. So it says, what amount of money in your savings account right now would make you feel comfortable? And so they answer that question, and it varies from person to person. But then I try to put things into perspective for them. So I said, if you had to save that amount in 1 year, um, you know, how much or how many, how would you be able to save that monthly, right? How much would you need monthly to reach that goal in a year? And then in the third question, I just break it down into weeks. So you divide that number by 52. How much do you need to set aside every week in order to reach that savings goal that you have? So this really puts things in perspective for the people that I work with, and it just opens your eyes. And I want everybody on this masterclass to just think about that. Like, if you have a big savings goal, you want to go on a big trip, maybe not necessarily think about it in um, the big goal. Break it up into small pieces that you can set aside each and every week. If you want to break it up into day, that's cool. However you want to do it, but break it up so it doesn't seem as big as it is. But over time, you're able to make progress. You're able to define that goal, and you're able to achieve that goal as long as you have a good plan and you have a good action plan. So. All right. So mistake number 3 is that you have the perfect plan, but you have no discipline. And what do I mean by this? Well, you've already determined the perfect budget. You know exactly how much money you want to spend per month. You know exactly what you want to do with your money. You know you're going to go on the perfect vacation. You're going to do everything correct, but you have no discipline to actually follow that plan, right? You still overspend. You are attending master classes, webinars. You're doing everything to learn about finance. You're learning, everything you need to know about money, but you don't have the discipline to actually follow your plan. You still shop on impulse. You still maybe join or grab a subscription here or there that is not in your budget. You're not following your budget. And so this is a mistake that I see as well. And let me say this, all of these mistakes that I'm giving, they are ones that I and other people I've seen have done. So these are not just things that I'm just saying, hey, all these people out here are making these mistakes. No, this is a mistake that I've made. I didn't have discipline. I didn't have any self-discipline to make purchases at times. I would shop on impulse. I would buy things here, buy things there. And so this is a big mistake that I see, especially with graduates, but it can occur with a lot of people. So what happens if you continue to make this mistake, right? You begin to overspend because you have no self-discipline and you just decide to purchase here, purchase there. You are not able to reach your financial goals because, listen, you have a good plan. You have the perfect amount that you're going to set aside for the emergency fund. But every time the money comes for you, or the time comes for you to put aside that money for that emergency fund, you decide to go shopping instead, or you decide to go do this instead. And so ultimately, you're not able to reach those big, big financial goals because you are not disciplined and you're not following your plan. And this is the extreme measure, but sometimes it even leads to struggling paying your bills, or maybe not struggling, but you acquiring late fees because your money's tied up into something else, and there's just not enough into your account, or you're having to swipe that credit card, um, and you're just purchasing things that you really don't necessarily need, and it's affecting, your necessity bills. All right, so what happens when you stop making this mistake? So delayed gratification is going to build progress, right? So when you decide, okay, I am not going to shop on impulse, I am going to be disciplined, and I am going to take the time not to purchase things that I see everybody else purchasing. I'm going to follow my own plan, and I'm going to actually save money, invest my money, um, and I'm going to actually take those steps to reach my financial goals. Not going to be overspending, within reason. I'm going to then be able to have less stress and more cushion. So very important to stick to your plan, stick to your budget. Don't overspend unnecessarily. Um, don't be, shopping off impulse. It's going to save you a lot of stress, and it's going to allow your account to begin to grow. Oh, and I also want to mention, um, there's a difference between, instant gratification and delayed gratification, right? When you have instant gratification, it just means you do something right then and there that gives you some satisfaction for the moment, but long term it hurts you. So just want to give an example, and this, I guess this isn't it may not be the best example, but um, if you are a person that is trying to lose weight, and every time you try to lose weight, you see some ice cream or something just super fattening that is going to add weight to you. And every single time, you know that it tastes good, you feel like it's going to bring you some joy, and you're going to get it every single time. Well, you have that instant gratification. You go get the ice cream every single time. You eat the good food every single time. But over time, those small habits, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road, you start to see that you're continuously gaining weight. And that's not what you want to do. And so you had that instant gratification and didn't have that delayed gratification in order for you to build some progress. Now, if you would have had delayed gratification, maybe you would have said no sometimes to the ice cream. And over the years, you would see that you were slimming down and losing weight like you wanted to. So that's what I mean by the delayed gratification versus instant gratification. Okay, so you're probably wondering, what you may need to stop doing or some of the mistakes. What do you need to do instead? Or what are some of the things that are the best practices? Well, I want to introduce the 60-day wealth building framework. And this is a basically 3-step method to getting control of your money in order to build wealth. And so this is the same framework that I've used. I've had some of my clients use, and it really does work. So I want to walk you through it. So what does the 60-day wealth building framework look like? Well, as you can see in this pyramid, there are some components to actually building wealth. And specifically, there are 3 that can get you going in the right direction. So the first thing is getting organized. Second thing is going to be making more. and spending less. And then the last thing is going to be the educate and implement. So that last portion is, I would say, probably the most important portion, but you need all three of them. So I want to walk you through each of them. So step number one, get organized. What do I mean by this? Well, first, as we talked about a little bit before, we want to write down our goals. We want to write down our goals. Then we want to track our spending habits, right? We have to track our spending habits. And lastly, we want to develop a budget. So in that budget, it's going to have your income, it's going to have your expenses, it's going to have your goals, it's going to have all of that. So that's the first portion. And it's very, very important that you get organized. So why is it important? Well, it's necessary to reach your financial goals. If you're unorganized, then you're not going to be able to know where you're trying to go. You're not going to be able to determine where your money is going. You're not going to be able to determine how much you have left over at the end of the month because you're not organized. You don't know how much you spent or how much you kept. So planning is made easy, right? Once you're organized, you're able to plan where your money's going, to plan for birthday events, plan for holiday spending, plan for everything. It's all set in stone pretty much. And you're not guessing about how much money you have or how much you have left. It's all there and written out. So what happens when you start doing this? Well, you understand what you're working towards, right? By defining your goals. You understand where your money is going by creating that budget, determining that budget, and you understand your spending limits, right? In that budget, you're not just wondering, okay, I wonder, can I afford it? No, you know that every month you have a limit as to your rent or your mortgage. You know that every month you have a set limit for your cable bill or whatever it may be. You have determined that limit. Every month, I'm not going to spend over $100 on shopping or on clothes every month. So it's pretty much set. Your limits are set when you're organized. So why most people will actually not do this? They won't define their goals. They won't get organized. They won't create a budget. And so the reason is that it is annoying to write down your goals, right? Who wants to say, let's say you want to be a millionaire, right? Who wants to write down on a sheet of paper, I want to be a millionaire? You just think, you're supposed to do it and you're going to work towards it and try to actually get it done. It can be a hassle to list out all your income, right? You may, and your purchases. So who wants to list out every time they get gas, or who wants to list out every time they purchase groceries or pay a bill? Who wants to do that? It can be very time consuming. And that's the next thing. It takes too much time. And some people just feel that, they make good money, whatever that is defined by them, and that they don't spend that much money. And that much is, I guess, defined by them as well. So I want to share a budget worksheet. And this is something that all of the people that I work with actually get and kind of go through. So this is, I don't know if you guys have iPhones, but if you open up your messages, if you were to have a conversation with yourself, the screen would kind of look like this with, me as your contact. So in one of the chat bubbles, and for my clients, they're able to print off everything and write out exactly what they're spending on each particular item. But the bill, you write out what the bill is. So whether it's a cable bill or a grocery bill. Then you write out your spending limit, how much you have allotted or set um, to purchase whatever your bill is. And then you have your actual amount spent. So this is good because now you're able to compare, what your limit is versus how much you actually spent during the month. And so I've seen, people go over on shopping. They may have a limit set of $50, but they may spend $200. So they went over their limit by a lot. But if you write that out, it's a good visual representation. Okay, I need to do a little bit better for the next month. Maybe I can have a little bit more self-control, or maybe I can do some things to improve in order to stay under my spending limit. And so on the right side, it says out of the 5 bills, so you write out 5 bills and how you actually did versus your spending limit and how much you actually spent. And if you, didn't overspend on all 5 of the bills that you wrote out, that means you have some extra left, unless you spent the exact amount that was your limit. You should have some extra left. But if you did not, and you overspent, then you just check overspend. And so we try to keep it small because 5 bills is not going to be all of your bills. So you take it, 5, and take a group and just see how you're doing with a smaller amount of bills. And over time, you list out all of your bills, but you try to improve just with starting with 5 of them, then to 10 and 20, and you just get better with each and every bill, and you're improving your finances. All right, so step number 2 is make more and spend less. And so what does this mean? Well, you want to have multiple streams of income, right? You're not just depending on your full-time job or part-time job. You have other ways of making money, whether that's through developing a side hustle, doing something like DoorDash or something that would just give you some quick money. One thing I've been doing is Amazon Flex, where you can drive and deliver packages part-time, and just literally you can kind of create your own schedule and it'll bring you in some extra money. So that's Amazon Flex, if anybody is wondering some extra things that they can do. Make more money at your job. So you are actively trying to get that promotion, doing everything you need to be doing to level up your skills, getting some extra certifications behind your name, whatever it may be, to make more money at your job. So now you're making more, right? Anything you can do to increase your income. And then you spend less. So cut out the unnecessary subscriptions. If you don't need excessive shopping, don't impulse shop. And then doing things like talking to your credit card companies. If you have, credit cards out there that have high interest rates, talk to some other credit card companies and see if they can lower those interest rates, right? So these are just things that I mean by making more and spending less, getting that mindset. So why is this important? Well, we need money for everything, right? We need money to pay our bills. We need money to go on vacations. We need money to do whatever. So if you make more and you spend less, then that's freeing up some money somewhere. So that the idea and the mindset is going to help you improve your finances. So what happens when you start to do this? Well, now you have more money to work with, as I said. You have less you have less expenses to worry about, and you are able to begin looking at your financial goals, building that emergency fund, starting to invest in some assets, and any opportunities that are available. So why do most people not do this? Well, I say that it can be a hassle to switch service providers. And let me explain what I mean by that. Well, if let's just say Verizon, right? Verizon, the phone company, they are charging you a certain price, right? And you have AT&T that is going to give you the same quality. They're going to give you the same phone. They're going to give you the same service, but their AT&T is going to be $50 cheaper than Verizon. Well, it's a hassle to maybe switch service providers or switch companies, switch all your information over. And so now you have one person spending $50 more than the other person, and $50 more per month adds up a ton. So it can be a hassle. You feel like it's too late to start making more money, whether it is getting an extra certification, whether it's getting a degree, whether it is doing anything. You just feel like it's too late to begin making more money. It's too late to start learning a new trade. It's too late to start understanding how this technology works, or it's just too late to start doing things. You are not willing to make any sacrifices. So you don't want to cut out impulse spending. You don't want to cut out, some of the subscriptions that you have. You don't want to cut out anything. You don't want to make any sacrifices. And you don't want to change any of your spending habits. You want to shop at the stores that you want to shop at, and nothing is going to change that. So here is Chandler. And so I'm going to play this video for you guys. I hope that everyone will be able to hear this video. And
I think you had suggested this. I went grocery shopping at like a lower cost grocery store because I think this is what messed me up. I was going to Harris Teeter all the time, and my groceries were expensive fuck. So I went to Food Lion first and got most of the stuff that I could get, and then I went to I didn't even go to Harris Teeter. I only went to Harris Teeter today to get some salmon. That was it. I went to Target to get my like frozen stuff, and that was it.
So, how much comparing? Because I just gave an idea, but it may not have worked. So, did you compare what you normally spend to what you spent today, and what was
about $70 less?
It was how much?
About $70 less.
$70?
I usually spend like $180 on groceries. I spent like $110.
Oh yeah, I gotta use you for that. I gotta use you for a recommendation for that.
So I played that video because Chandler says, after using a grocery tip that was listed from this program, I saved $70 a week on groceries. And so we did the math, and we sat down, we did the math, and $70 a week may not seem like a lot of money, right? But let's say you save $70 a week for an entire year. Then by the end of that year, now you have $3,000 extra dollars to play with, right? Maybe not to play with, maybe to throw in an emergency fund, maybe to do whatever with. Hopefully you have, you may choose to do whatever with that money, but now you have an extra $3,000. So I want to give you guys that grocery tip because listen, all the things that I'm giving is nothing special. You can go look up this information on Google. So much stuff out there. But basically the tip is to not go to high-priced grocery stores and purchase name brand items at those grocery stores. So if you want quality meat, if you want quality, beef, fish, whatever. You go to those high price grocery stores to get just that, just the meat, just the salmon, whatever it may be, because you want quality food. But it doesn't necessarily make sense, and it may be convenient for some, but it just doesn't make sense to spend a large amount of money on name brand items, like, for example, Cheerios, or for example, just trying to think, Nature Valley, those bars that they have. It just doesn't make sense to purchase those bars and they give you this crazy price at the name brand grocery store versus going somewhere like Walmart and grabbing it. I don't know the difference between name brand Cheerios at like Publix or Harris Teeter versus Cheerios at Walmart. Like, it's still the same name brand product for a lot lower price. So as you can see, she saved roughly $70 a week. And I hope that if you are doing this, or if you are spending out more or shopping at the higher priced stores, please take that extra second and go to a Walmart or a lower price store and grab those name brand items, because it will save you money drastically. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I wanted to make sure that I talked about it, because as little as it may seem to save $70, if you want to have an extra amount of money to set aside, this could be a good way to do that. Okay, so step 3 is to educate and implement. And what do I mean by this? Well, you want to learn how the wealthy think, right? You want to educate yourself on how they think. You want to learn about money, all the financial terms. What is a liability? What is an asset? What is a stock? What is a dividend? Just all the financial terms that you have not been taught in school, that no one is going to be sharing with you. Annual return, just things that you need to know about in order to, know a lot more about money. And then you begin to use this knowledge to your advantage, right? You use all the information that you're learning about, all these terms, all this information, and then you begin to create a plan to actually build on it for years and years and years. And you can implement these strategies each and every single day to reach some of your financial goals and to begin building wealth. So why is this important? Well, I will be the first one to say that knowledge is power. Knowledge really is power. And what you don't know could really, really, really be hurting you. It could be something as simple as you can save this amount on this, or if you invest this amount of money, you'll be able to make this over time. So what you don't know and the information that you don't know, it really can hinder you and keep you financially stuck. And I think this is one crazy thing for the people that work full time. We go, take the time to work and, try to get money so that we can pay our bills. And we need money to actually be able to do these things. But sometimes we don't find it important to actually understand how what we're doing for 8 to 10 hours a day, what we're working toward to actually receive this money, we don't even know anything about it. So it's very important to educate yourself on, okay, I know I'm going to work. I know I'm making this. I know I have to go to work in order to make money. But what can I do in order to make sure I fully understand, uh, money? And what are some ways maybe that I can do some things in order to maybe not have to work for so long, or maybe not have to do certain things, or how can I make my money work for me? Like these are things that have you want to think about. And so the faster you implement, the faster things get better. The faster you start investing, the faster you're able to build that emergency fund, the faster that you become less stressed, the more time you may have, like things begin to turn around. All right. So, um, what happens when you start doing this? So, your mindset changes, right? I know one big mindset change for me when I first started having bad spending habits. I learned this key thing, and it was that liabilities are one thing that can really hinder you. And what I mean by liability is just something that you purchase or spend your money on, and it doesn't give you anything in return. And things like this can include shopping, like buying clothes and buying just things that are cool for instant gratification. You want to look nice, got to have your needs. But when you excessively start using your money to purchase these things instead of purchasing assets, which will generate you some income over time, um, then you're putting yourself more and more in danger. So once I, mm, understood that concept and understood that mindset, it just made me, be cautious about how I spend my money. It changed my mindset about, you know, how I'll plan a little bit better and just make sure that I'm not shopping off of impulse and not, um, you know, giving all my money out before I try to, you know, place my money into investments and things that are going to grow my accounts. It makes me think long and hard before I spend. Um, and, once you begin educating yourself, implementing, then you're able to stop living paycheck to paycheck. It doesn't matter if, you know, you only have $1 left over from the month, $2 left over from the month. That $2, $1, um, will grow. If you do $1 every month, if you only have $1 left over every month, then you have $12 left over the year. It's not that $1. You're not in the negative. You're growing your account still, and it works the same way with larger amounts of money. Um, but you have to educate yourself and you have to implement some of the things that you're learning about in order to start building wealth. So why do most people uh, not actually, educate themselves first and then begin implementing? Well, reading is not for me, or reading is very boring. And I was the exact same way. Hated reading. It seems annoying. It's something that I've done is started doing audiobooks. I can listen while I'm at work. I can listen while I'm running. I can listen while I'm going somewhere. Um, and it kind of helps me not have to, sit down and kind of point page word for word, flip page per page. And another thing is I don't have time to learn about money. So time is a big thing. I'm always working all the time. When I get home, I want to watch the game. I want to, hang out with my friends. I want to go party, do whatever. And so you don't have enough time. And so you do have some downtime, or you will have some downtime. So try to use it in the best manner possible. You think some people may think that money is just simple, right? Go to work, get a paycheck, and you spend it, and you know you're comfortable and you're at peace. And if that's you, that is perfectly fine. If that's how you view things, that is perfectly fine. If you're trying to improve your financial situation, if you're trying to build wealth and grow your account, uh, this will not work. Got to educate yourself and have to implement. And then another thing is, it will take forever to benefit from the strategies. So if anybody was listening, and um, I said, if you only have $1 left over at the end of the month, that's $12 at the end of the year. Some people will think it will take forever to benefit from whatever you're doing. And so that mentality um, is not the correct mentality to go into, because if you have $1,000, it's the same. It's not the same, but it's the same mental state. So let's say you're making a lot more. You have $1,000 left over at the end of the month. Well, after 12 months, now you have $12,000. Well, some people, the amount of money that they make, and the amount of bills that they have, they still may view that as not a lot of money. Just like a billionaire or a millionaire could look at it the same way. So it's just a scale. And, growth is growth, however you want to look at it. And you will begin to benefit from the strategy. So, but this is why most people don't do it, because they just doesn't seem like it's working for them, or it's not benefiting them fast enough. It's not get rich, or it's not a quick scheme. So here is Tyler. He is a person who went through and that I work with for about I would say 3 or 4 weeks. He's still in the program. He said the audiobooks that are suggested in this program are truly eye-opening. And he read 2 books actually. One, I don't know if everyone has read this book, but one key book that I would advise you to listen on audiobook or read is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. He's a great author. He talks about assets and liabilities, and why the rich are rich and why the poor keep getting poor. And also, he's the same author of Before You Quit Your Job by Robert Kiyosaki. And this book is a great book too. It talks about, if you are thinking about quitting your job, you have built a, business, or if you are generating a lot of money, think about some of the other things before you just, run or just stop quitting or stop working your 9-to-5 job. Think about, what you have to face as far as, licensing, contracts, your communication skills, just a lot of just information that, if you just quit your job without doing some of these things, you would be completely unaware of. So that's why I say knowledge is power. And so it's just super exciting to see Tyler actually take advantage of the audiobooks that I suggested. And they're out here. There are plenty of audiobooks that I would advise you guys to check out. Just look up audiobooks or books about money, and there will be a list that comes up that will just educate you more about how money works. I think that's very important for you, just to build awareness. So what have we learned so far? So we've learned about the top 3 mistakes to keep you financially stuck, and what to do instead with the 60-day wealth building framework. So you're here today because you want a simple solution to building an emergency fund, or you want to learn more about building an emergency fund. You want to create a simple, solidified budget, or you're thinking about creating a better budget. You want to make stress-free purchases without wondering whether you can afford it, and you've heard about building wealth before, and you are ready to start taking action and achieving your financial goals. So today is the day. Nothing that I have said or shared with you today is a theory or ideas. These are all things that me and my clients have done to begin building wealth. I really don't have any crazy advantages or special skills. I have a system that works. And if I can do this, if other people can do this, you can begin to develop an emergency fund. You can begin to start building wealth. You can begin to create a solidified budget. You can begin to improve your finances, increasing your income, decreasing your expenses. Everyone can do it. So that's why you have literally two options, right? Option number one is to build wealth on your own, to go out, search information, read the books. If you haven't taken anything else away from this, you know, start reading more books about finance and money and how it works. Start looking up ways that you can budget, and actually start doing some things that will improve and increase and decrease, increase your income and decrease some of your expenses. Or you have option two, where you can fast track your results with the 60-day wealth building framework. So I would like to introduce my Road to Financial Freedom program. It is a one-on-one coaching program for individuals to really get control over your money and start actually building wealth in 60 days. So what do you actually get in this program, right? So you will get 10 video lessons, and it goes over, what assets and liabilities are, how to improve your income, how to make better financial habits, how to just do a lot of things that you're going to need in order to improve your finances. So it's not only just make more money, spend less. There are some mindset shifts that you are going to need in order to actually make this come about. So I have 10 video lessons set aside to help you do that. And then it will also include 7 one-on-one coaching sessions. So I will be working with you one-on-one, going through your goals, first and foremost, defining your goals. And we'll walk through, how you can create a budget. What are some things that you can do to begin decreasing your expenses? And listen, you want to be looking and finding ways to decrease your expenses with everything that's going on right now, with inflation, with prices going a lot higher, with gas prices going a lot higher. You want to be finding ways to decrease your expenses and literally trying to find ways to increase your income because things are going up. I do have, it will come with 8 support resources, the worksheets that we go through, any guides and things that can help you in order to kind of list out some of your expenses, list out some of your goals. So we'll have a goals worksheet. We have some budget worksheets. We have some books and just resources that you can read. We have a lot of good resources that you will be able to check out in this program, as well as we have 3 how to create a budget tutorials. So I will walk you through literally step by step on how to set up your income, how to connect your accounts, so that it can pull where you're spending your money. So it can pull any transactions that you have, and so that you can begin starting setting limits, because granted, I understand that you're going to have a lot of different purchases, a lot of different things that you're trying to spend your money on. And you need to organize all that. All that stuff is everywhere. It's on different accounts. It's on. You may have things that you're investing in, and you may have a credit card here. You may have student loans here. So I just walk you through step by step on how to actually create a solidified budget. And not only that, then we walk through that in the one-on-one coaching session. So we talk about, how you feel about, your budget, how you feel about just certain things. What are some, what are some mindset shifts that would really help you to get to where you want to get to in your financial goals? And then we also have some things that will help you begin to build wealth, right? I am not a financial advisor, but I do have a how to purchase a dividend stock tutorial. And all the dividends is just something that's going to pretty much, you can purchase, it's a stock that you can purchase, and that company receives, revenue, they receive profit, and then they pay each of their stockholders, which is you, now that you've purchased that dividend, some extra money. And so this is some way to start generating not only the income that you have, but passive income, which is a whole different type of income. So I'll walk you through step by step on how to do that as well. So yeah. So what will you achieve by going through this road to financial freedom program? Well, first, you're going to develop financial goals. You'll be able to create a solidified budget. You'll be able to guarantee that you're decreasing your expenses, and you will have some ways to increase your income through some different sources. And you're going to learn the basic principles to build wealth. So in session 1, define the goal. So what will you learn in session 1? This is where we will talk one-on-one, but we're going to go through the goals that you have. Excuse me. We're going to go over the importance of goal setting, and we're going to go over time versus money. And when I say time versus money, right, in the example where we talked about how Chandler was able to save $70, well, over time, $70 per month equals $3,000 per year. So you can see how you receiving money, you saving money, you increasing your income over time can really be beneficial for you. So money is you have to compare it to time. So session 2 will be creating a budget. So what will you learn? You'll learn your spending habits, right? Once you go through the tutorials, once you come back and you meet with me, you'll know your spending habits, you'll know your net worth, and you'll know how to create spending limits. Session 3 will be decreasing your expenses. And in this session, you're going to learn how to eliminate some expenses. You're going to learn why we actually overpay for items and a lot more. So you're also going to have some resources to a ton of ways that you can decrease your expenses. If anyone knows me personally, you know that I can cut a bill down by a lot in a short period of time. So I would say if you're definitely looking to decrease your expenses, this will be a great program to be a part of. Session 4 will be about financial literacy. So what will you learn with financial literacy? Well, the different types of income, as I mentioned before, how to create an emergency fund, and how the wealthy think. So it's going to be very important that you understand some of these concepts with financial literacy in order to begin making improvements and begin to actually start building wealth. Session 5 will be about increasing your income. So what will you learn? Well, how to add to your income column. You're definitely going to learn that value equals income, right? The value that you bring is equivalent to the income that you make. If you're not able to perform on your job, you're not able to do the tasks that they are wanting you to do, over time, you're not going to receive any income. You have no value, you receive no income. And you're gonna learn how to turn your passion and enjoyment into actual income. So session number 6 will be about sticking to your budget, right? So we created a budget, but just because you create a budget, and as we mentioned in some of the mistakes, you're gonna have some, you know, situations where it's hard to stick to that budget. And so the next portion is going to be, you want to actually follow that budget. And we're going to look at it and sit down and say, okay, for this month, did we stick to our budget? How accurate was our limits? Did we go way over? Do we need to adjust some things? That's what we'll sit down and talk about, the planned, expenses versus our actual expenses. And we'll be talking about how we can improve our spending habits. What are some things that we can do in order to keep us from actually overspending? Is there some things that we could avoid so that we don't shop unnecessarily and impulsively? There's some things that we can do to not need to purchase all of these different types of subscriptions in one month? Are there some things that we can do to really improve our spending habits? And then session number 7 is going to be taking control. And so what will we be talking about in this? We'll be learning what accountability is, how you can protect your budget, and how you can adapt to financial changes. So when I talk about accountability, I just mean, you are taking control. It's not me, us talking. You are taking control of your finances. You are making the right spending habits. You are following your budget. You are analyzing and keeping track of everything. And you are adapting to anything that's changing, whether you're getting married or whether you just decide to, take a different job or whatever it may be. You're able to adapt to those changes and still follow the methods of, not spending more than you make, decreasing your expenses, and increasing your income. You're still following that framework and you're taking control of your finances. So what is the investment to be a part of the program? So the value of the private calls, the Slack support, which will be a messenger that you use, all the worksheets, all the templates, any video tutorials, any mini courses, and videos that I prepare, all the value for that is $4,500. And so the regular investment for this type of program is roughly $699. And so there is an early bird bonus. And so there will be $200 in savings if you're able to book a call before the 28th of this month. And so you will be able to lock in that investment. And if you are able to, book your call, you'll be able to lock it in at $499, or you'll be able to do a payment plan of $249.50 for 2 months. So you can't come up with that amount of money right now. We do have options where you can do a payment plan so that you are still a part of the program and so that you can still start improving your finances and getting things in order as quick as possible. And I will be throwing in an extra bonus I do have a financial planner booklet, and it will be available if any of you guys are going to be looking to have that. But if you sign up and book a call with me for the 28th, it'll be included in the program. It's called the My Money, My Rules Financial Planner. And I have created it. So a lot of the worksheets, a lot of the things that I've already pretty much created will be in that planner so that you can list out a lot of things. If you're hands-on and you like to write out your goals and write out a lot of things physically, I think this is going to be a nice planner for you. So definitely, this is a great extra bonus to join, to get a part of. So what is the call for? It's a risk-free call for us to discuss how the framework could apply to you, and some things that will help you in your financial journey. It's for people who are serious about getting financially organized and don't really want to waste any time, and to identify, where you're at now and where you want to be. So whether you are, you have a lot of student loans, or um, you don't have that emergency fund that you want to have, you're able to, book that call and identify those gaps. And we can dive deeper to see how I can help you free up some extra money to contribute to your financial goals. So what we'll talk about where you're at now in your financial journey, where you want to be, what exactly is stopping you from achieving your financial goals, and we'll do an honest assessment to see if the framework could help you, and if it would be a good fit for the program. So I will be leaving the link to book in the Zoom chat for everyone who would like to actually book a call. And even if you aren't a good fit for this program, on this call, at minimum, you're going to walk away with a solid action plan. So something definitely to think about. So this is limited time only, and there are going to be only 10 openings available per month. It's going to be on a first come, first served basis. And if all of the slots are gone, you can still engage with me on Instagram or any of my social media platforms at _Coach James, or if you're on LinkedIn, just James Huntley, Facebook, James Huntley. And like I said, this is a free, risk-free call to identify some of the things that you are dealing with. At this time, are there any questions? I'm going to make sure I drop the link in the chat. How did I come up with how did I come up with the framework that I use? I came up with the framework kind of from trial and error, and not only trial and error, I would say through educating myself and really diving into, I guess, books and resources from people who I wanted to be like. So I said, if I want to be in a situation where I am comfortable, what should I be doing? And the answers were there in the resources, and in some of the books that I was reading, and even from some of the people around me, such as my parents. I didn't have too many friends that were on that path, but I literally tried to see who I could mimic in order to get in the position that I wanted to be in. Let me. Everybody can see. No problem, no problem. Okay. Any more questions? All right. Well, I really do appreciate. Oh, can your planner be purchased separately? Yes, it can. It will. I will make sure that I, have it out and post about it, and I can actually, personally reach out to anyone who is interested, and you can reach out to me as well on my social media platforms. It will be available for sale. No problem. I would like to say that I'm very thankful and appreciative for everyone who stayed, through the entire presentation and masterclass. I hope that you all learned something and that it was actually helpful for you. I know it was a little lengthy, but I was very excited to share it, and I hope, like I said, that it helped. So if there are no other questions, then I hope that you guys have a great night. And feel free to DM me or let me know, your thoughts. All right. Good night, everybody.